Here's a game, Elysium King. Let's start off with e4. Let's see what we get here. Okay, I'm going to go for the Ruy Lopez. He plays Morphy defense, the normal way of playing. Not the Berlin. Here, I'm going to castle here. And then he goes d6. Okay. Sometimes I play bishop e7 there. I think the idea is the same. You need to defend this pawn at some point because you don't have a counterattack on the e-pawn. But because of the move order, he can attack this bishop. Okay, well, let's prepare to save the bishop if he doesn't take it. So he takes it. Then well, I should be able to get a move in here. I guess before I play that, I should stop the pin on the knight. So that's an interesting little move order twist I hadn't seen before. So because the normal way you play it, you get to keep that bishop. I should check that in the opening book and see what I did wrong. He played that very fast too. Look, he's got more time left than when he started. Okay, so I can't take the e-pawn. I can't win it anyway, because he's defended it with his queen. I could close up the position with d4. And I think I will keep the tension there for a little bit. See, if I put my bishop there, he might take he might take the e-pawn. So let's come out with a knight as usual. Bring the knight over to the king side, the typical strategy of the Ruy Lopez. And then all the way here. Then I'm going to g3, defending the pawn, and then I'll be able to play bishop to e3. I have an open file for my rook, but I can't see any great way to exploit that at the moment. And so he's opened up a line for his rook. So if I play bishop e3, he can take, and I take back, and then he's got two pieces on the e-pawn. So I guess I should come all the way out here then. Instead of going to e3, I should come out to g4 there. He'll probably just play g5 rather. He'll probably play h6 and kick my bishop back. Well, I'll take his knight then, I guess, if he kicks my bishop, because it's not defended. So he moves the knight away. So now I could play bishop back to e3, but that would just risks a repetition here. Yeah, let's just close it off here. Just a little too much trouble trying to keep track of everything. So maybe he's going to push his pawn forward to c4. That'd be okay. I would just go b4. I was thinking I want to play b4 anyway, but he would take, and that leaves me with these kind of miserable doubled pawns. But what to do here? Well, the knight could come into f5 here. That might be interesting. And then that opens the way for the queen to hop into the king side. Yep, so he plays that move to prevent it. And let's see, let's line up the queen and the bishop. Maybe I'll trade off his dark squared bishop. And he doesn't want to allow that. Okay. So should I go with f4 here as a plan? Maybe rook back to f1 and f4. f4 immediately, how about? Because if my knight gets kicked in some way, it's not defended there. Like the queen could go to e7. I want to be able to retreat my knight. And I could take with the bishop or the queen. Let's go with the bishop, and then put some pressure on his backwards d pawn there. Okay, so he's looking at the e5 square for his knight. Let's prepare to trade it off. And also prepared maybe to push the e-pawn forward to e5. Let's see. Yeah, he's got 3 guys on it, and I have 3 guys defending it. Yeah, and he's got the pawn, so he'd be able to take that and hold it. Unless I had a trick with pushing. Push, take, push. He's still got it well defended even after the queen moves. But if he goes there, now maybe I can do that. Push the pawn. If he takes, I take with the knight. Setting up a discovered attack on the queen, potentially. Yeah, it looks like I can play that now. Well, at least Elysium King started using a little bit of time there. So I think I want to come in with the knight here. I could play something like knight takes g6, defending the bishop and attacking the queen. The bishop is defended by my queen. I don't need to defend it. So I have a lot of discoveries with the knight. So he probably will move his queen. Yep. And now my knight could hop into c6. From knight, the knight on c6 is looking at the e7 square, where it would check the king. That might be interesting. Let's just put it there. See if I can get away with it. This also allows me to play b4 perhaps, because if he takes, then I can take with the knight. So he's not going to give it any rest there. He's just going for the trade. If I play knight here, hitting his queen, does that accomplish anything? It just puts the knight on an out-of-the-way square. I can't play b4. He will trade. I take, he takes. Take here, he takes. Just seems to lose a pawn. I can trade rooks first. Rook takes. Probably knight takes or rook takes. I was looking at rook to e7 here, but he can take, knight takes. And my knight's a bit stuck there. Well, that's check, though. Let's see if I can get away with this. Rook e7. If I can park a piece on the 7th rank there, that might be useful. He takes, I take, it's check. And then maybe I can even push that pawn forward to d6, defending the knight. Just have that knight be an annoying piece there in his own camp. And bring my rook over to the e file or the f file to defend, to support it, rather. So he moved his queen out of the way. So that allows the bishop to take the knight again. Let's see, I could trade rooks. I take the bishop. Is there anything clever there? It takes. Yeah, I guess I need to just trade and retreat. He does have a check here. He can push the c-pawn with check. I can block. Yeah, I can't block with the bishop because I guess I can block with the bishop. I was thinking it leaves the knight hanging, but he's got to deal with this queen. Then that'll give me some time to... Okay, so let's step out of the check. That would be pretty annoying. So I'm thinking, how about d6 and queen to d5? His knight's guarding that square. That's a problem. I was ganging up on the f7 pawn. So is there a way to get rid of this knight? Probably just rook to e1 or rook to f1 is the normal move here. Yeah, maybe rook f1 looking at his knight. Okay, other ideas would be d6, d7 with the fork. Knight takes, bishop takes, queen takes. Yeah, looks like that fork wins material. Yeah, so he goes after my bishop. Bishop is defended, but the knight, well, now let's just take that. Yeah, he sees the knight is hanging, so I got to do something forceful. And then I guess I have to retreat here. I didn't see any other square, but my bishop is still defended. So I think after all of this, we're still in a materially even situation. I have a passed pawn. Not the world's greatest passed pawn. If I got in c4, maybe that would be something to hang my hat on. Yeah, so we're heading for a endgame with a knight versus a bishop, maybe. Could be. Yeah, it's not an endgame yet because the queens are still on. See, if I play c4 next and he takes, I take back. He can win that b pawn. But I could win his. No, that's defended. So I have to be a little careful about playing c4, but maybe I need to. He's attacking it with the bishop. Let's put my rook behind the pawn. And yeah, I think I can push it forward to d6. It would be better if I could just support it there and head into the endgame with a protected passed pawn. But might come under fire there, so an option is always to push it forward. Something to consider. I wonder if there are any tricks with my knight, say sacking the knight here and then giving a check. That would be useful if he had a hanging piece on d8, but he doesn't have anything like that. Okay, well, he's stopping to figure out in this position how to, he can just play his rook to d8. It's protected by the queen there. It would not be a hanging piece. I could push it forward to a dark square, and then I guess he can't really bring more pressure on it. I've actually got my two pieces defending it. Okay, so he brings the king forward. So I would like to have a knight on this square. Wouldn't that be nice? So that I could play my queen to here. How do I get to that square? Here, here. Yeah, let's bounce around this way. Knight to f1 to e3 to g4, and then I'm covering the h6 square. And the knight on e3, that's might be a good square for the knight anyway, defending defending that advance to d pawn, and maybe threatening to come to g4 at the right time. What's he got? He can stop that with pawn moves, but maybe I can find ways to take advantage of weaknesses. Okay, he penetrates to the second rank. That's interesting. So he's leaving his king side a little bit unaided, but he can take a pawn if I let him. Can I make it worthwhile? Say knight e3. Now the check there is not really doing anything. He can always defend with queen to f3. Knight e3, rook takes. Knight g4, rook takes. He's giving up 2 pawns. Or I could play like this. Defend the second rank. And let's go with the knight, I guess. No, I take it back. I want to take with the queen, because knight to e3 might be a more useful square for my knight than the other squares. And now with my queen here, I could also play c4. He takes, I take, and my pawns on the b file are not hanging because he's moved his queen away. And also my queen here defends b2 anyway. So this should be a good endgame for me now that I got that protected passed pawn in. Let's see if we can activate that knight. Yeah, it's tempting to take with the knight and chase his queen away, but he could just take the pawn, so. But now there's a target here. Let's see, knight here, here, and here would attack that pawn, or knight here would attack it, or here. Here, here, here to attack that pawn. It's on a dark square, so his bishop can't defend it. And so let's start that. I think that's my simplest and best plan. I've got his bishop pretty well shut out of the game, so that's been a good accomplishment for this endgame here. And he's running low on time. Okay, whoa, he's taking advantage of a pin. That's very clever. Does that work? I see pawn takes, queen takes. I push the pawn. He takes the knight with check. That's too bad. I could almost sacrifice the queen and get another one. Okay, so I can move my queen with check, though. Always got to look for these little things here. Let's go ahead and do that. So now I could take the bishop. He takes my knight with check. Move my king here. And does he have another check? Yeah, he can come back here with check and pick up the pawn. So it's still no good. Interesting. So I wanted to get to this square, so let's go over here. And at this point, I think his bishop really is hanging. He should probably do something about it. And I'm going to play knight c3 and then bring my queen over here maybe, or around here more likely. Yeah, it's probably better to bring it over to this side of the knight. And okay, so he moved his So there, I've got my knight in. And he's moved his pawn forward, so I can attack that pawn to gain a tempo. Then I can attack this pawn. The pawn on c5, which can't be defended. So we can attack my knight. Let's go ahead and take. I was thinking he could try pinning the knight, but my knight can come in here and defend the queen. So that's okay. So how do I chase his queen away? His knight here, but then his queen moves, and I can't necessarily take that pawn. There's knight here. The idea of bringing the knight back to this square. Defend the d pawn and push the c pawn forward. I wanted to play knight c3. Let's see. This is hanging. This is hanging. There's a check here. Hum. I have a check too on the back rank. Let's go here. He can take one of my pawns then, but I can push the other one forward. He moved his king forward. Oh, he didn't take the pawn. Okay. So let's defend it. And he ran out of time. Yeah, that would be a tricky game to play out to the end, but he was just a little bit too slow. Anyway, I will upload that and do a postmortem. See you guys later. Bye.